Hi everybody, I'm Krystian Strauss, Head of Overseas Business Development at AdTiming, and today I'm really happy to be participating in DevGAMM 2021, and I will be talking about one very specific topic. Is it possible to self-publish with a small team in a specific region? So let me understand what I'm going to be talking this time. So first thing, I'm going to be talking about self-publishing, the main steps for success, right? Secondly, going to be short comparison to worldwide publishing and specific region publishing and what to actually pay attention to when it comes to specific region. Then I'm going to give you an example of one specific region according to that logic. China will be the example this time, and then specific in the like where worldwide we actually recommend to start with self-publishing. Then I'm gonna be talking about game type and self-publishing, which maybe game types are more suitable for that, and a quick summary. So why I'm talking about self-publishing if actually my company or me didn't publish anything, right? It didn't self-publish anything. So the thing is that actually our company I'm working for a free accelerator program called AdTiming. And in this program, we actually are the bridge between like the developers and publishing. So it doesn't matter if they actually self-publish, and we're actually guiding them on every step of self-publishing, telling them what you can do, optimizing, and so on. But also, we can recommend a suitable publisher. So it depends on what they want. And actually, what we can see is that most of the people will still decide to go self-publishing. From our data, you can see that around 80% go self-publishing, and the rest cooperate with publishers, or they are publishers actually. So when it comes to that, of course, there is a huge advantages of self-publishing. We're not going to mention that, and there are also some risk when it comes to self-publishing. Now let's go just focus on like how to do it in a specific region. And so firstly, I'm going to be talking about the self-publishing, the main steps for success, what we actually understand, and we got from our experience having like 2,000 developers really entering the program over the couple years. And actually, we can see that what are the main things that we do. First thing, we understand and evaluate the game. This is the easiest step to make. Analyze the graphics. What are the graphics? Is it low poly or 2D or this? What kind of colors it got? And have vivid colors or more toned colors. Analyze the gameplay. The best practice is actually to analyze the gameplay by putting in a different type of gameplay. So for example, if your gameplay is not straightforward one thing, I will analyze it in the subcategories. So for example, it's like our casual RPG and merge right together, or like it's a hyper casual with online, so and runner, right, endless runner. So I'll just analyze them separately so they can go to the next step and I can actually use it. So the next one is research the market. First, check your competition. This is a very good thing to actually do. You just see like what is the competition, main competition in the market, where are the main regions, right? What are they actually doing, and actually also analyze them. The same thing you analyze yourself. Second thing is just see research the target market for graphics and gameplay. So this kind of graphics, where are the regions in the world that actually are very keen or like this kind of graphics. And the same goes with the gameplay. Analyze it one by one, the gameplay, and actually then later you can combine it together and decide on your target audience, right? When you region with all the things. So you have this, and you combine, you check it like with this graphics, this gameplay, actually the suitable would be number one would be this, number two this, number three this. Always have a couple of options that you think could be good according to that. And also, it's good to analyze the game, deciding on focus on organic or paid users. So some type of games actually they're good for organic users only, or might do it. Maybe some indie games or maybe some racing games, but most of them they need to have paid users, right? You need to do some little UA and testing, and thanks to that, you understand your game better than anytime, because you're targeting specific players, users, and then you can actually analyze it according to that. So this is very, very important. Mostly, even I will focus on, even if you want to focus on organic, having a little bit paid users to actually keep that momentum going and have some organic users, because your paid users are gonna also influence your organic users, and so actually this is a good way to actually test it and see how it goes. The next one is optimize before testing. So with all that knowledge, and you already decided which target audience or region you want to target, then check if I can optimize the graphics slightly or monetization strategy according to the target region, and also of course paying attention to your early retention. You don't want to be focusing on all the problems. There always will be problems. You want to first check the first early retention, how it goes. If it goes good, then like if you're doing well, and you can focus on the next one, right? So optimize the graphics slightly. I mean, don't change your graphics. Maybe you need more vivid colors, so you can do different ad creatives with the one with normal colors you got, the other one with more vivid colors. You can pump up maybe some some graphic effects in the game, and you can target your region better, right? After all the research you do. The next one, prepare before testing. So decide on the right analytics platform, set correct event tracking points. It's a very simple rule, I think. Understand where your players are leaving, staying, and what they're doing, and setting all these event tracking points according to that. Making some ad creatives, I mean, at least a couple of them, to say, normally you do around 5 ad creatives, and this will kind of help you understand which one is good or not. At the beginning, we'll push all of them, and then you'll decide on the data which one are actually can work with. And maybe next time you can also optimize it and go in the same direction you go with the ad creatives that actually work. And next one is do the UA tests. So first, use, I think, popular social media sources, depending on the target region. I think this would be good, and of course try with Android preferably. I don't need to explain you why. Too many topics of that, okay? And then at least do a couple days of UA. So the CPI will be like a parabola. It will start kind of high, then it will go to the relatively low, and then if you scale up, you'll go a little bit up too. So have this in mind, okay? Like the CPI, if you're counting later, the CPI is very interesting. And finally, analyze and deciding on the future of the game. Check your data for promising performance. So, and check if there's anything you can optimize to do better, right? It doesn't mean it's the basic thing that you check if you can do something with it or not. Is this the top you can do, or you can optimize it better? Is it close to the target? So I think very important is actually setting the monetization right. Setting the monetization right will help you understand what is the ROI, LTV, ARPU, or ROS actually close to the target that you think is. So a lot of developers ask me like, oh, what should be my target CPI? And it's very hard to say. The target CPI will be always a range of target CPI. So shortly to explain to you is you either can target the broad audience with your game and then have a lower CPI, but then the metrics won't be that good, right? Because it's not your target audience, and you might miss some of it. So when it comes to hyper-casual, and some kind of hyper-casual games just do broad audience and it's still good, but maybe the other more hardcore casual games, they will benefit, or maybe the games that have some topic, right? Maybe a squid game, I mean not squid game, maybe some racing game, right? That they'll be like more likely for like petrol heads like me to be downloaded, and in this way you can target this user. So the CPI will be a little bit higher, but maybe the metrics will be higher. So it means the monetization will be higher. So that's why I think it's very important to set the monetization right, especially if you just check in the first early retention, how is it, and then you can see if if there's something you can work with. So actually counting all that thing, you'll actually understand later what you can do, what CPI should be, or maybe you can better the retention or lower the CPI to actually get to that point to have a better LTV or more positive ROI, right? So in some things, of course, like publishers, like they have such a huge experience with that. They have hundreds of games, thousands of game testing. They know exactly, like, you need to have this 30 cents CPI, then it's gonna work, because they have the same kind of model in place, and actually this will help them to actually estimate, okay, we can have this kind of income, less or more, but at least the CPI should be this, the retention rate this, and then we can work with it, we can optimize it a little bit and even get more from it. So this is of course, if you have that possibility. With a small team, you don't have the possibility. So actually counting like that will give you an idea, like, okay, maybe I did really wrong sometimes, of course, but some of the things may be fixable and some of it not. So then later you can actually decide what to do. And if you next step is optimize and test. If you think it's good, do an optimize and test, right? So I did it the first time, but it is like a stair. So it's a good one, you do optimize the test again. If another test has some promise and the previous one, after optimization, you have even better, optimize and test, optimize and test. And you know what? Optimize and test. And then finally you can count for that success. Once the ROI is positive, the LTV is what you count for, and you counted how much you invested in the ads, and then it can be a success, right? So let's just check very easily, publishing worldwide versus specific region. Worldwide is super simple, right? You don't need to pay attention to specific audience or preferences. You need to just appeal to the general audience. Focus on some hot topics, themes are preferable, like the Squid Game recently. And in summary, there's no localization cost. It's so much easier. You don't need to do some thorough research to target a specific region. But a specific region has some pluses and bonuses. If you already have some organic users, you can see that these organic users are coming from a specific region, because in the specific region, the gameplay or graphics are very likely to prosper, right? So they like this type of audience, like this kind of graphics, they like this kind of gameplay. So the possibility of monetization or having the positive ROI is much higher than just doing worldwide, right? Whenever you do sales, if you know what sales is, it's just targeting your audience, right? And you want to target an audience. Specific region is very good way to actually target your audience in basing in that. So when you do the specific region, you need to pay attention to a couple of things that helps you analyze and see if you can do it or how you should change according to the steps I said before. Language, right? Do you need to do some localization in here? What kind of language are they speaking? Or maybe you can ask, is the English proficiency high? So maybe some countries that actually speak really good English, and the localization, especially at the beginning, the testing, is not needed, of course. We highly recommend it later in the future to actually change it, but some specific reason doesn't need it. Culture. How is the culture? What is the culture? Is it so different than the one that you have in the game? You have more westernized and something like American or European culture in it, or some things, the specifics of that, very acceptable there. Does your region can accept these things, right? Later, monetization preferences. I don't need to say that, the different regions have different monetization preferences, and it's going to be very easy example of India, when they normally focus on ads, and America, where IAPs, microtransactions, are quite a big part of income, if, of course, better part of income. So you need to pay attention to that. Another one is the popular social media channels. So in this way, you're gonna decide that you're gonna check what popular media channels, but maybe is the channels to actually acquire your users. The best one from stars, of course. I will suggest you to try different ones and channels, but at the beginning, you want to just stick with the best one, and then the most popular one to have the broad audience, have good possibility of analyzing or reaching this target audience, and then later you can decide it if maybe the CPI is very close, but I still cannot do it through this channel. Maybe I can change it. Maybe I can do it better. There's so many of them, including us as well, and other many things. So something to pay attention to. Next one, graphic and gameplay preferences. So what is the preferences of graphics or gameplay in this region? Very simple. Taboo. What things that I shouldn't talk about, or maybe my game has some theme or topic or things that actually in this country, you better not mention it. It's not going to be welcomed that much, right? Or policies, right? So like very simple, like gambling policies or anything coming with the money or something like that. Maybe you need to pay attention to other things, right? So in summary, these things help you understand what localization you need, right? This is language localization, graphic localization, or content localization, right? So let's just check on an example of China. It's a very good example because it's quite far from many other regions. Plus, because it's number one gaming market in the world, many developers just asking me about this region, right? So let's analyze it according to previously what we said. Language. What is language? Mostly Mandarin. Mandarin or Putonghua is actually the one that's speaking, that everybody is speaking on this. There's many different languages like Cantonese, and there are like around 80 major different minority or region dialects. And actually within like 12 years I've been living in China, even cities between cities, they change. Like I used to live in Sichuan, but actually the city in the Sichuan from another city, sometimes the language is so different that I can understand them and some of it don't. Of course, the difference wasn't that huge, as you may from the west and east part of China, and then you start speaking Chinese from there using dialects, and some people might not understand it. But the thing is that actually the language Mandarin, the written language, actually is the same everywhere, right? The written language is the same for Mandarin, Cantonese, or any other. So maybe two people from Western East side, they might not get well like they might understand like 50% what they're saying, but when they write it, they can actually understand it fully. So we used to have that discussion before. It is needed to actually put in some dialects because, like, Sichuan has like tens of millions of people, like Zhejiang has this one millions of people. So maybe I should. It's like maybe it should be treated like a small country like you have in Europe. You have small countries and the size of provinces in China. It's like the size of the countries, right, in Europe. So maybe that, but actually the Mandarin is enough, right? The culture. So the Chinese culture we understand is more like Han culture because it's different minorities. There's like 55 minorities, one big majority, which is Han people. So actually, in that way, kind of the Chinese culture, I want to understand, is more like a Han culture. The rest of it is like it's a mix of Yi people, Tibetans, or Uyghurs, or these people, and there's so many different like minorities. But mostly, what the Chinese culture you understand is the Han people culture, right? Popular social media. So from top 1 to top 6, which is number 1, as you know, there's no Facebook or any other messengers like WhatsApp, right, or YouTube. So we need to stick to the Chinese social medias. WeChat is number 1. Douyin number 2 is like the Chinese TikTok. QQ, Weibo, which is kind of like Twitter. Kuaishou, it's kind of a competitor to TikTok as well. It's a little bit different target audience. And Bilibili, which is kind of young people's YouTube. Next one, graphic preferences. So they like to have Chinese style. I'll show you later how that kind of looks. Of course, with Chinese characteristics, red clothes, Chinese clothes, right? Or anything that could be Chinese culture kind of style. Cartoons are very highly acceptable. Same like in Asia, but Chinese like it quite a lot. Vivid colors, right? Monetization preferences. Mostly popular is IAA, but best performance, of course, IAP or AP plus IAA. But this means you need to have ISBN. I'll mention it later. Taboo. Violence, sex, or like Japanese soldiers. So you can see like there's so many examples, but I mean like, you know, due to Chinese war, these kind of images is not quite popular in China, of course. And policies, they're pretty strict government policies. There's no blood, violence, sex, you know, especially the ones who want to register for ISBN, ID registrations for online games, under 18 gaming limitations, and so on. So ISBN is mostly targeted for in-app purchases, to make a transaction. If you want to pay for something, especially if you have online game, a more hardcore, midcore game, then you need to this one. So can we do self-publishing in that way, like having a small team? So first thing, understanding that data, understanding these things, later I can see that I need to have a good understanding about the market, what will be popular and acceptable, because it's different, right? So I need to understand what is okay, what is not okay. Language localization, necessary. To Mandarin, to Putonghua. This is definitely. The English one won't fly out, and if it does, it won't be that popular. But it still could work, not that much. Content localization. So if I need something, maybe it would be good to change some clothes, or maybe if I have like different skins, maybe I'll put these ones in front because it's more similar or looks cooler. For Chinese audience, no violence, sex or blood content, of course, knowledge of the social media platforms and the UA channels, because they're quite different than anywhere worldwide. And financial support to scale up would be pretty good. So, wow, what a small summary in here. Like, you'll be probably better off with the publisher or with any partner that will help you with this market, guide you with this market. That for sure. Is it impossible? No. I have some developers. I have one developer that actually they saw that they have a lot of downloads in China, so they decided to do what? To hire some specific person that will just do Chinese marketing. You can see like 30% of their 20-something, 30% of their own downloads origin from China, and they need this one. So they made they acquire somebody from marketing side. They can actually do much more, much more promotion in actually Chinese market, and that helped them. And actually, they didn't have the huge impact as the top publishers have, but China is so huge, 1.4 billion people, right? So they have like 100,000 downloads. It's really, really good, right? They focus on that, and they know exactly where to promote, where to go to target this one. But you either need to have a person who speaks Chinese, understand that industry, or he's Chinese with this industry, or have a partner with this similar experience, then you can actually do self-publishing there. Otherwise, of course, wouldn't be that suggested. So let's go to the worldwide. Like, where's the specific regions that we recommend to start or to try if you do the self-publishing? First of one, America, United States, right? Of course, many people they're doing that. It's kind of obvious choice. They have great eCPM. The target audience is pretty good. Monetization is really good, but it costs quite a lot, CPI. So in that way, if you're doing hyper casual games, if you have some budget, I'll try this one. But if not, maybe I'll try the Mexico. The CPI is not that high, and it's much cheaper than United States. But the audience preferences, they're pretty similar. And the market is pretty booming, so I will consider that strongly. So all that regions, it's firstly, of course, if you did the research and you see that these regions could be your potential regions, so it's very interesting or good to try them out, right? And so next one is Brazil. Brazil is also huge, big market, great monetization, also high acceptance of Western culture or Western content, let's say, in that thing. The only problem with that is the AIPs. So if you want to do the AIPs in Brazil, it means that you need to have a company registered in Brazil. This is a huge problem, especially for small teams. So if you rather have like hyper casual game and you can focus on IAA, that might be something to try. CPI costs are pretty low. The same with India. This is much lower, the CPI cost. And actually, India, I don't see that many successful stories with India when you're just targeting that region. But we can see that successful when you have actually a couple regions like United States and this, and actually then later you see there's some downloads in India. You can do a little bit of UA, or you can do that, target that region to actually boost it. So you do a small amount of UA and that will drive your organic users, and then you can actually make money. And this strategy was actually pretty good working. Also, you can test some of your game mechanics or retention rate in India, as the CPI is pretty low and you see the game is acceptable there, so you can, test some things there and then go to the more expensive market. That would be a good option too. Very similar when it comes to that strategy is Indonesia, because they really like Japanese anime style graphics. So for example, if you want to go to Japan and Korea, you have this kind of stuff. I will suggest to test before in Indonesia. It's also a huge country, 300 millions. Of course, mostly it's IAA. It's not as strong AAP as Japan, but still you can understand your game and see like, maybe I can optimize and go there later, right? Depending on your top 5 regions, for example, you have researched before. Another one is Philippines. Philippines is good because they have high proficiency of English. So this region, if you have it in your research, is very good. You don't need to have any localization at the beginning, of course. If you want to push strongly or hardly in this region, then definitely having localization will help you. But people understand English pretty well there. And one of the top English proficiency countries in the world. It's very interesting. Okay, very quickly, what is the game time of self-publishing? And what is the most game time according to self-publishing? So you can see on the left side, we have easy and very hard, very super easy and very hard. And then down, we have hyper casual to hardcore, more or less very easy way to showing that. From my understanding, from the experience we got, it's like a parabola. So hyper casual is rather hard to do, but I can still see that some people do it. And actually, I can see that some of it actually works even with small teams. But it's still hard. Casual is the sweet spot, let's say. So casual game is relatively easy. I don't say it's easy, but relatively easy to other genres, and hardcore is very hard. If you don't have a bigger team, it's going to be much harder. If you don't have publisher partners, it's going to be way harder to achieve in self-publishing. So summary, what the small teams should pay attention when targeting a specific market. Understand your game, who you might appeal to, what is your game type, and so on. Analyze it. Use the right platform to analyze the market. Actually, there's a lot of different sources of information from internet, some reports and this. You can actually get it together and make your own report. Or have like a partner, like, accelerator program, some things that you can guide you through it, right? See if the game needs some localization, optimization for target region, evaluate if you can do the workload, find a suitable partner. There are many different options, not even a financial one, but also the one that is helping you to guide through the process or help you in some things. Try to target a market with small scale, test it, if it works, maybe you can try the different region. Or if it doesn't work and the data is so far, just, go to the next one. So analyze the data and see if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. If you can make it or not, how is it possible to do? Then decide to go or not go. So I guess all of this, I hope I can help you. And thank you all for listening. If you have some other questions, I'm really happy to answer. I'm here. And also, you can find me on LinkedIn. So good luck with everything, self-publishing, and bye.
Okay, Krystian.
Hey, Max.
That was a really nice speech. I was taking notes again. I guess my notebook today is gonna burst with colors because I'm taking notes from every speech we have here. So I've got a short question from Mikhail. It's about he leaves a question about what are 2 or 3 examples of a successful self-publishing over the past year, and do you know? And through the okay, yeah, just tell us about 2 or 3 examples of successful self-publishing over a year.
Yeah, so actually with the monthly games we did and tried to push, and with the help of self-publishing, we can see that a lot of them, like puzzle games, they were pretty successful recently, and especially with some interesting mechanics or some kind of like 3D puzzle games and something that is really interesting. And we started first with using Facebook to actually having one of the biggest user base or like audience base. So using this, we push different kind of campaigns using like different targeting different audiences. And then after some time, we actually see that some of them actually went pretty well, and we actually redo it and we target it again with using this kind of strategy. So having like a good strategy is very important in that.
Okay, that sounds pretty fulfilling, I guess. I hope we answered the question. I think we did.
Yeah,
okay,
if not,
so
you can find me on Pine platform, right?
Yeah, you can find. Yeah, that's what I. Yeah, you're stealing my job here, Krystian.
Sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to say that. First of all, thank you very much, Krystian, for this beautiful speech that you had here and presentation. Still, Krystian, again, thank you.
Sorry for that, and thanks for having me, Max.